Hello and welcome, Summer Showdown fans. I'm your host King05, and today bringing you my round 1 matchup against Vizually. This is for the All-Star Surge format thing, and yeah, let's just hop right into the team builder section of this video. So first off we have Broken Venomoth, Poison EMZ, because this allows me to one-hit KO basically anything on his team outside of Fortress at +1 with a Z move. Because Whimsicott obviously going to die. Seismitoad, unless it's super special defensive, is going to die to a +1 Poisonium Sludge Bomb. Blaziken dies, Braviary dies, Spiritomb dies, Electrode, which he might use as his Venomoth check because it does have Soundproof, will probably die. And Fortress is an unmon, so yeah, Bug Buzz does like over half to max Spadef at +1, so I'm not worried about that. Anyways, Venomoth is my #1 win condition in this game. Next up is my Xatu. Now, Xatu does a great job preventing hazards this game because it prevents hazards from Seismitoad, prevents hazards from Fortress, and that's all his hazard setters. So yeah, this is basically here to ensure that rocks don't go up. Giga Drain is for the Seismitoad. It does 2-hit KO special defensive variants. Psychic is there just to hit Blaziken as hard as possible. I believe the EV spread is to Oko Blaziken from full with Psychic. And then U-turn for momentum into the Broken Ice Cream, which we'll get into later. I have the Colbur Berry on this to help versus Spiritomb, as I feel like that is his most reliable check to the Xatu, so being able to take the Sucker Punch U-turn out into the Nox, which is a huge threat to his team, obviously, is something that's very nice. U-turn momentum in general has its uses other than that as well. Next up is my Rotom Heat, which is going to be a fairly bulky set this week, because of this very threatening Blaziken right here, along with the Whimsicott. Although Whimsicott is dealt with by Registeel, it is nice to have the Rotom Heat, as Registeel can lose to a Sub-Seed variant 1v1. So having Rotom here as well is very nice. Leftovers max HP allows me to take 3 Flare Blitzes after leftovers, I believe is the roll. So yeah, it's guaranteed unless he crits one of those. So that's nice. This is my Fire Resist on the team from the Blaziken. Can't really take high jump kicks too well, but I do have the Ghost type in the back Golurk, so if he is Scarf, he can't exactly safely lock into high jump kick. Anyway, so Rotom's here, outspeeding the Blaziken. If it's not Scarf, 36 special attack is just to hit it a little bit harder, as well as this is to allow HP Grass into Volt Switch to break the sub of a max HP Whimsicott. Now the reason I do this is because if he is Sub-Seed, I want to Volt Switch out and break the sub, but I also want a lot of bulk, so I can't guaranteed break the sub with Volt Switch without any investment. I need a lot of investment, so in Progress into Volt Switch should be able to break the sub on the Whimsicott if it is just max HP. It's also a defogger because if for some reason Rock's will go up, I do have 4 Rock Leaks, and I do want the option to defog if need be. So yeah, that's my Rotom. I have the HP Grass obviously for the Seismitoad, which should be able to 2-hit KO most variants. Anyways, next up is the Broken Ice Cream. Now I don't really have to run a lot of speed on this thing this week, which is pretty nice, because it allows me to run a lot of bulk on my Specs Vanillux. Blizzard has no switch-in, Freeze Dry nukes the Seismitoad if I'm in on that. HP Fire nukes the Fortress, which by the way gets 2-hit KO'd by Blizzard. And then Ice Shard is just in case a Scarf Braviary is getting out of hand and I need that priority. It also helps versus Whimsicott if need be. Say I'm like really low and I just want some chip. There you go. Yeah, pretty much just my breaker this game. I don't have anything else that really breaks aside from Venomoth, and then you'll see my Golurk can also somewhat break versus his team. Anyways, Vanillux is the main one. Next up is the Registeel, which is going to be basic Registeel, Rock's Toxic, Seismic Toss, and then I have the Rock Tomb. This helps me out versus Braviary, as well as helps slow down threats like Blaziken. If it's Scarf, I can slow it down and then revenge it with either the Golurk or the Rotom Heat, or the Venomoth, or the Xatu. All of those are outspeed a neutral speed Blaziken, so Rock Tomb is pretty nice to slow things down, as well as hit the Braviary for some significant damage. Yeah, that's pretty much it for my Registeel. It's here just to get up rocks and sponge some attacks. I have a lot of physical defense. This allows me to take a Flare Blitz from the Blaziken or a high jump kick. I believe I can take a high jump kick but I know I can definitely take the Flare Blitz with this. Next up is my Golurk, which is going to be Scarf, because if you look at his ground resist, they're not too great. He has Whimsicott and Braviary. Whimsicott takes like 80, if it's max defense, it's like 90% from Heavy Slam if I'm remembering that correctly. And Braviary is going to take a lot from Stone Edge, if not just go down, because Golurk does not play around. And No Guard means I'm never going to miss my Stone Edge, which is really nice. And the Fire Punch, which will 2-hit KO any variant of Fortress, unless it's like max defense Akaberry, which is in complete unset versus my team. And yeah, so this thing is just Scarf, because I can check the Blaziken, I can check pretty much anything on his team with this, as long as it's not speed boosted. And the speed investment on this is to creep his fast Pokemon, creeping my Xatu by a few points. So I can outspeed him if he's doing speed creeps on my Xatu, which is my fastest Pokemon of my draft. So yeah, that's going to be my team. Let's get right into the replay. As you can see, we brought no ground immunity, so Golurk was already looking pretty nice. He has the Seismitoad and Fortress as potential stealth rockers, but it's probably going to be the Seismitoad on the team matchup. Anyways, Electrode. I was building with Money Guy, and he told me that if he was bringing Electrode versus me, it's going to be Leftovers, T-Bolt, or Volt Switch, Taunt, Toxic, or no, not T-Bolt, Volt Switch, Taunt, Toxic, and Foul Play, because Foul Play catches my Golurk. So I definitely wanted to watch out for that. As you can see, that set does do a lot of work versus me. Anyways, the Spiritomb, I'm expecting to be a Pursuit Trapping variant to help versus my Xatu, which would really free up his Fortress, because otherwise Fortress is completely useless versus my team with the Xatu. Whimsicott could be Subseed. I think that's the only real viable set versus me, since I do have a Registeel. Any like offensive Whimsicott is just going to get shut down. Blaziken could be a few things. It could be a speed control with the Scarf. It could be Z-Move, because Z-Move is just a huge threat versus my team. It could be Agility, could be Sword Stance, Breaker Set. Yeah, just Blaziken can be anything it wants in this matchup, but I'm mostly fearing Scarf. The Seismitoad, probably going to be the Stealth Rocker, because at least it can somewhat pressure Xatu. Yeah, probably going to be more defensible. Anyways, let's get right into the game. I decided to lead off with my Rotom Heat, as it doesn't really have any bad matchups for a lead. And if he leads off with Seismitoad, I can just go straight over my Xatu to prevent hazards. But he does lead off with his Electrode, and I'm just going to take this opportunity to HP Grass the Seismitoad on the switch-in. We're going to see this is Max HP Assault Vest Seismitoad, so I don't have to worry about this thing setting up rocks, but that means that Fortress is guaranteed to be the rocker, unless he didn't bring rocks, which is not advised. Anyway, Seismitoad is in, does 39, which if he was just max special defense would do 42 minimum, I believe, so 39 is guaranteed Assault Vest. And now I'm just going to go into my Vanillix, because I'm expecting a Scald to be thrown out here, and Scald does like 30% to me. But he's going to go for the Rock Tomb, does 41, revealing he's actually max attack, or at least very close to it, and now Vanillix can just go for the Blizzard, because, sorry, let me just go here. The Seismitoad's at 55. Blizzard to max HP Assault Vest Seismitoad will do a minimum of 49. So after Hail, he will go down. So Blizzard basically forces a KO here, because unless he wants to go into Blaziken and sack about 60 to 70% health on that thing to my Blizzard, he's going to lose a Pokemon here, and there's nothing he can do about it. So Blizzard is completely free. I don't really have a reason to click Freeze Dry. As he goes into max HP, max special defense, Assault Vest, Electrode, and takes 79. So yeah, the Broken Ice Cream is back. This man has already revealed 2 Assault Vest Pokemon in 3 turns, so that's pretty interesting. He goes for the Discharge, does absolutely nothing because he has 0 special attack, as I do manage to avoid the Para and go for the Blizzard. Now, the Broken Threat comes in, Blaziken is inside, and I think I'm just going to sack my Vanillix here, as I don't really have anything that wants to switch in. I do have my Rotom Heat, but I do want to keep that as healthy as possible to potentially check a high jump kick, because if he goes for HJK on my Rotom, it would do about 70%, which would leave me unable to take any Flare Blitzes, because I wouldn't get any Leftovers recovery because of the Hail. and I already took a little bit of chip from the Volt Switch from the Electrode on turn 1. So I didn't want that to happen, and Vanillix was looking pretty useless at this point. The only thing I can really bring it in on is with Momentum, like Volt Switch or U-Turn, and I already broke down the Electrode, which was kind of a hindrance to a lot of my Pokemon, so I'm very content with that trade along with some chip on Blaziken with the Hail and Recoil. So yeah, I'm just going to take that, and now I'm just going to go into my Golurk, because look at his ground resists, he doesn't have any besides Whimsicott, so that's going to be pretty much forced to come out. However, I could go for the Heavy Slam here. Unfortunately, I do not click Heavy Slam, I just go for the safe Earthquake, because if this thing was, say, like Z-Dark, or something like that, which is a completely viable set versus a Xatu and a Golurk, he could have just been like, okay, maybe he sent in the Golurk just thinking he can live any hit, but he's not going to live the Z-Dark, so let me just go for that. But no, he does make the switch out into Whimsicott as I just go for the safe Earthquake, and that does 27%, revealing this Whimsicott has max HP and some defense, and we're going to find out with later rolls what exactly his spread is, but I'll leave that to later. Here I just go into my Rotom, as he does go for the sub. Now because he only has a little bit of defense and not max defense, I know he's going to have some special defense, so HP Grouse and Volt Switch will not be able to break the sub. So what I'm going to do is actually just Volt Switch hard, prevent him from healing anything from the Leech Seed. I'm going to go into my Registeel because I can get up rocks here for free, as he goes for Knockoff, which is pretty good for him, removing the passive recovery from my Registeel. But now I'm going to go into the Xatu, predicting the Leech Seed as I get that right, and since I do have the Colbur Berry, Knockoff is not going to do very much to me. I can just U-turn out, and because of the Volt Switch damage, I can break the sub with this U-turn, otherwise I wouldn't be able to. And now I can go into the Broken Venomoth. And here I'm just going to click Quiver Dance because it pretty much guarantees me a kill, no matter what. Well, unless he is one particular set, which he's going to reveal right here as he goes into the Fortress on my Bug Buzz, he reveals the red card, which is pretty nice prep because it forces me out. Unfortunately for him, I do get a special defense drop and I get into my Xatu. I took a while to make this play, mostly because he disconnected and came back quite a bit later, but I had plenty of time to think through this turn, and my Xatu's in versus the -1 Spadef Fortress. Now there's a few scenarios. He can go into his Spiritomb if it's going to be a Pursuit Trapper for my Xatu, or he could just go ahead and sack his Fortress to my Xatu. And like if I don't have Heat Wave, which I don't, then I'm not able to actually knock out the Fortress, so if he does stay in with his Fortress, what is he going to click? He's not going to click a Hazard move because I could just go for like a Psychic here, thinking that it knocks it out when it doesn't. So Rocks Up would be a bad play, in my opinion, so if he stays in, the only play is to spin, and if he goes Spiritomb, then I get in some threats, and I get to scout the damage on that thing, etc., but he doesn't go into that, so that's kind of a moot point. But here I know Rapid Spin is the only logical thing that he clicks if he stays in, so I'm going to go straight out in my Golurk, as I do catch him on the Rapid Spin, so that's pretty nice. And here I'm just going to go for the Earthquake once again, as he does have the Whimsicott, but if I go for the Fire Punch, sure I get damage off on Whimsicott as well as knock out Fortress, but then if he's Pursuit Trap Spiritomb, then I would lose my Golurk most likely, because Pursuit is going to do about, I think it's 90 something min, so it's a roll in his favor to knock me out with Pursuit if I do switch out, and since I would be locking the Fire Punch, I would be forced out. So yeah, I could just go for the safe Earthquake as I crit the Whimsicott, and those two damage rolls were really convenient because I got close to min roll on my crit and close to max roll on my original Earthquake. I did 27. So I basically know this Whimsicott's spread is going to be max HP and about 52 defense with a boosting nature, the rest in special defense. So now that I know this Pokemon spread, I can like play around it more precisely. Anyways, here I'm just going to go right onto my Venomoth as he makes a nice double into Blaziken. However, I thought he might do that, but while this does force a KO pretty much, I'm perfectly fine with this trade because Whimsicott is low and that's his only ground resist. Now, he can't switch into Earthquake anymore, which is really nice, as well as you're going to see some in several turns the chip is going to be very nice for a separate win con that will be set up eventually, but we'll get into that. I decided to sack my Xatu because it does not live a Flare Blitz, and if he is Scarf, the only use of Xatu right now is to check the Blaziken. So if he is Scarf, which is the only threatening set versus me, in my opinion, or at least the best set in this particular scenario that I have to fear. If he has Scarf, then Xatu's not a check anyways, and the Fortress is already so low that it dies to everything on my team, including Registeel, so there's no way he can possibly get up Hazards versus me, so I'm perfectly fine sacking my Xatu here to the Flare Blitz to get a bunch of recoil on this Blaziken. He does take a lot of recoil, and now I go into my Rotom Heat, because if he's Scarf, he's forced out. If he's not Scarf, then I outspeed, and I can Volt Switch out, and he's not going to click Flare Blitz if he's not choiced, so he'd probably go for Stone Edge or like Rockium, something to hit my Rotom, in which case I can just go into my Registeel. Even if he does Flare Blitz, then he takes the recoil needed to die, and I don't need my Registeel in this game anymore. It's pretty useless if you look at his team. Spiritomb completely walls it. It doesn't really beat the Whimsicott due to Subseed, and I don't have Iron Head. Seismitoad obviously beats it 1v1. The Fortress is not a threat at all to any remaining Pokemon, so I kind of have everything covered with Volt Switch here as I crit, which did matter, but all it mattered is for like differential, which absolutely does not matter in this round. So anyways, I'm going to go into my Golurk since I can just attack what's ever in front of me, not having to lock into anything. If he goes Whimsicott, I can just Fire Punch. And then if he is Pursuit, then I'll just trade my Golurk there. But anyways, Golurk's in as he goes into Spiritomb. Now, I can live a Sucker Punch if he's like Black Glasses, but I can't live a Pursuit, so even if it is a 50-50, it's in my favor to stay in here, at least for the first turn as I go for the Earthquake, and it reveals to be Calm Mind Crowtomb. So that's a very interesting set. It's pretty threatening as well because my remaining Pokemon, aside from Golurk, are special attackers or walled, so this can be a huge threat. However, Earthquake is doing a lot to this thing, and a +1 Dark Pulse is a roll pretty heavily in my favor to live thanks to my HP investment. But anyways, he goes for the rest here, and he's going to play with the Sleep Talk rolls. Hopefully he doesn't get 2 Dark Pulses / Shadow Balls in a row. And you're going to see he Sleep Talks, and he does not get it. He gets a rest. And I'm going to go for another Earthquake. Obviously that's my only play. That's 41, so getting good chip on this Spiritomb as he gets a Calm Mind Pulse. So he basically threw out his Spiritomb here to my Golurk. So that's pretty unfortunate luck on his end, but as long as he didn't get the first turn Dark Pulse roll on my Golurk, then I was perfectly fine because the Spiritomb would have been at 20. I never have to send in my Registeel, so it'll never have a chance to heal versus my Rotom or my Venomoth, so yeah. Golurk is in, and I decide to go out into my Rotom Heat as he goes for the Leech Seed, and now I can just double out, I believe. Do I double out into Venomoth? Yes, I do. I didn't Volt Switch because the threat of Seismitoad was very real coming in, and if he subbed, then I could get in my Venomoth, and Volt Switch wouldn't break the sub anyways, so I would still go Venomoth and go for Bug Buzz, which would go through the sub. So Hard Venomoth covered every play, and Assault Vest Seismitoad is pretty bulky, but it's no match for Broken Venomoth. I'm just going to pop off the Z move, and it's going to knock it out from 49. So yeah, very powerful Pokemon. And now the Fortress comes in, and Venomoth's just going to clean up with Bug Buzz and Sludge Bomb on the Whimsicott. So we win the first round, and we go to the gold bracket. So we are in with the big boys, all the people who won their first round, and we do have chances to get that gold prize. So definitely going for that. And yeah, so in the next video, I'll go over some transactions, which we're doing right now, as I'm recording this. So yeah, we'll get that. So my team is going to change, and we've only done one of my picks so far, but I will let you know I am upgrading my Poliwrath into a Greninja, so that's pretty nice. Anyways, I'll go over that in more detail in the next video, and until then, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.